That's probably why you survived.
That's all.
An amazing coincidence. Field Marshal, let me take you back to the Bangladesh War. To what extent did you win because the Pakistan military leadership proved to be incompetent? For instance, I gather they had no fallback strategy to defend Dhaka.
No, it's not true. The Pakistan Army in East Pakistan fought very gallantly, but they had no chance. They were 1,000 miles away from their base. I'd had 8 or 9 months to make my preparations. I'd got a superiority of almost 15 to 1. They just had no chance, but they fought very gallantly.
Is it in fact true that there was a young Pakistani captain, Ehsan Malik, who defended his garrison so stoutly at Kamalpur that in fact you sent him a personal letter?
That's quite true. We tried to capture a place called Hilly, which he was defending, and we tried very hard, and we didn't succeed until about the 3rd attempt. And he fought gallantly, and I did send him a personal letter. And when I went to Pakistan after the conflict, I went twice. I mentioned it there to their chief that I think that boy should be given a gallantry award. He fought magnificently.
And did they, or did they hold your recommendation against him?
I don't know. I said he fought gallantly.
At the time, there were many stories that you were going to take over the country. Were they true?
No, it isn't. In 1970, Mrs. Gandhi's stock politically was very low. And I couldn't go to a cocktail party. I couldn't go when everybody's asking, General, when are you taking over? And I remember I was with the American ambassador, Kenneth Keating, who was a great friend of mine, at a cocktail party, talking to him, when his number 2, who was a CIA man, came along and said, General, when are you taking over? And I turned around to Kenneth, and I said, Kenneth, when is Westmoreland taking over? And he laughed. He said, well done, Sam. But one day, I was in my office at 4 o'clock, when I had a direct telephone line with Mrs. Gandhi. She was in Parliament House. She rang up and said, Sam, are you very busy? And I said, Prime Minister, the Army Chief's always busy, but never too busy to see his Prime Minister. And she said, can you come over? And I said, I'm having my tea, Prime Minister. She said, oh, I'll give you tea. And I said, I get good tea here, you give muck. So I'll give you good tea, you greedy chap. So I got her in a car, and I went there, and she was there, kidney-shaped table. She was sitting down there. And I, in my breezy way, walked up, and she was an actress. She was sitting down like this. And I said, hello, Prime Minister. You seem worried. When she looked at me, I said, I have problems. So I said, oh, cry on my shoulder. What are your problems? And she looked me straight in the eye and said, you are my problem. And I said, now, what have I done? Have I made a speech or done something stupid? I said, now what have I done? She said, everybody says you're going to take over from me. Now, that shook me for about 3 seconds. I walked across. She has a long nose. I have a much longer one. I put my nose next to her. I said, what do you think? And she said, you can't. And I said, oh, you think I'm so incompetent? I didn't mean that, Sam, you wouldn't. And I said, much better, Prime Minister, much better. I'm going to tell you a little jingle, which my daughter, when she comes back from the convent, recites to me. You mind your own business, I'll mind mine. You kiss your own sweetheart, I'll kiss mine. I don't interfere politically as long as nobody interferes with me in the army.
And that set her fears at rest.
That's right.
After the war, Mrs. Gandhi went on in 1973 to elevate you to Field Marshal. But did she also offer you the job of Chief of Defense Staff to go with it?
No. No, she didn't. She made me a Field Marshal. She said, Sam, you like the British. Will you go as High Commissioner? And I said, no, Prime Minister, you've forgotten my oath. When I took over as Army Chief, I'd taken an oath and I told you I will accept nothing from the government, but I will command my army without any interference. She said, but you accepted the rank of Field Marshal. And I said, that was my birthright. Then she said, all right, if you don't want to go as High Commissioner, will you become a governor? Go to Bombay, the Parsis will love it. And I said, thank you very much. I don't want to become Lat Sahib, and my wife will never become a lady. She'll remain a woman.
But in fact, what you did do was not to hang up your boots, when you stopped being army chief, you took up almost a second career. You became a chairman and you went on to the board of several companies. Was that right?
Yes, well, people